What's been the hardest part of growing your business?
I think getting your people are your biggest assets. If you look after them properly, they'll be very productive for you. The more they're happy at work, the more they want to come at work, the more they're going to perform for you. It's not rocket science stuff.
2 years to get brand awareness. So how did those first 2 years feel as a business owner?
Everything I've been doing over the last 2-3 years has slowly been building towards this. For every pound invested, there's a potential £5 ROI. I've realised this now that I can't do this on my own. It's like anything in life and business. The limitation for me is that I'm only one person, and if I want to take this to where I want to take this, I've got to get people on board. The worst thing I think you can do in any kind of especially on socials is be scared to take a leap.
So where I'd like to start is I'd like to just dive straight in. I want to learn a bit more about you, a bit more about what you do. If you could talk me through that.
Okay, so obviously I'm a specialist, expert, whatever you want to call me, in the wellbeing space. Disruptor, I like to call myself, because I like to do things a little bit different. Ex-accountant as well, has been in the finance industry for over 20 years. I bring something different to the corporate wellbeing space, and I make sure that people, they're seen as people, but companies also have that sort of measurable result with the ROI side as well. So yeah, I think I bring a good skill set over.
Sure. And when you say you bring something different, what do you mean by that? Could you expand on that?
I'm very sassy, if that's what you mean. No, I think I'm very no fluff. I don't tick box. I humanise everything, and I encourage conversations. I think when you have conversations with people, you learn a lot anyway. So I think in the corporate space, it's very easy to just tick a box and assume you know what people want. I'm very much the opposite. I'm very much like, get out there, have conversations, find out what your people actually need, and then support them in the right way. So plus I can measure it very differently. Like I said, with the skill sets being an accountant, I get to look at it from a business perspective and an employee perspective, so I can see both sides. So yeah, and it is about accountability. It isn't always on the employer to do everything, so you've got to get a right balance.
I found it interesting when I looked at your website that there was stuff about ROI and that side of it, which I wouldn't always necessarily put together with like employee well-being, but I love that straight away. I just think it's a cool, like, a new way of looking at it, at least from my perspective.
It's a very new way, Ollie, and I'm glad you said that, because I'm actually bringing something out in the next 6 months. Taking me a little while, to be fair, to get it right, so I can actually measure it properly. But I think the biggest gap that is in the wellbeing space, and unfortunately this is why so many people see it as fluffy, is because it's very hard to measure. But that's because if you don't know how to measure it, I'm going to bring something out that's actually going to prove how you can measure it. To start seeing it as a sort of strategic in business now, rather than just a HR issue, because it's not just a HR issue. Your people are your biggest assets. If you look after them properly, they'll be very productive for you. This is going to give you the opportunity to measure that productivity as well. So yeah, it's quite exciting times, but you are right. It is not a lot of people put the 2 and 2 together. And I think that's what probably gives me the beauty of being, obviously my skill sets that I bring to the table is just doing something very different to what others are doing out there.
And another thing I noticed on your website, you say, feel your best, perform your best.
Yeah.
What would you like? What would you recommend if I was like, right, okay, what are your best tips for feeling your best and performing your best? What would you say?
I think you've got to do things that you enjoy. Like we're so live in this world where we put ourselves in boxes and we conform how we're meant to conform. Like, if you're not enjoying something, you're never going to want to work hard at it. If you're in a workplace environment that is a toxic environment and you don't feel happy there, I can guarantee you now that's going to dampen your productivity. Your performance is going to be shot. If you're in an environment where you're encouraged more, or you're supported in the right way, or your development plan is there, you're going to feel like, I'm valued more. I want to give back to this company. Be an ambassador for the organisation. That's what you want more of. And I think for me, it's pivoting that sort of mindset for organisations that, like I said, your people are your biggest assets. The more they're happy at work, the more they want to come at work, the more they're going to perform for you. It's not rocket science stuff, but unfortunately, so many people don't like tapping into it because they feel like it's going to unearth a bit of a can of worms, and it's far from that.
Where would you say is probably the most common areas that businesses are going wrong with this? What are they ignoring?
They're not having conversations. They're not having
Okay.
conversations at all, because that would mean that you probably have to train your managers as well. And a lot of people don't train the managers in the right way.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, what you seem to have in organisations are people that have been put into positions that probably shouldn't be there just because they've been there a long time and they've performed a certain way in that job role doesn't mean that they're good enough to look after people. Also doesn't mean that those people want to look after people. Everybody has different kind of skills they bring to jobs, don't they? And sometimes people are not people just
Sure. Yeah.
so they shouldn't be in a managerial role. But also, if they are, make sure they're trained properly, because having a manager that isn't trained properly can be just as damaging as having, for me, that can be more damaging by having someone who's not trained in the right way. And that's not because of most times it's not because of that they're not willing, it's because they don't have the knowledge to be able to support people, so they're just guessing and they're just winging it themselves. I think we need to change that. One of the biggest things, I think training in workplace should be standard practice, especially in the preventative stuff. We're very good at a whole society. Let's look at it on, in business. We're very good at acting when it hits a crisis point, but no one really does it from a preventative point. The preventative point is what's going to save you a shite loads of money. So it's as simple as that. Get that right, and I can guarantee you now that your bottom line is going to be very peachy from it.
Yeah, I suppose if there was a problem with someone, it might take 6 to 12 months of low performance before it even comes out and they actually communicate it with, let's say, the manager, for example. So yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from.
And if they do, let's be fair, what you'll probably find, if they don't feel comfortable to have opened up in 6 to 12 months' time, you're probably going to find they're going to hand their resignation in, which means it's going to cost you a lot of money now in recruitment, in finding somebody to replace them. In regards to training, customer experience is going to be impacted because they've built relationships with them. It has a big negative impact. And I think a good manager would spot something like that quick. They'd spot someone's behaviour change. You'd spot in your team if someone's not performing how they normally would, or if they're showing up in a different way. That's what you would expect from a good manager. They should know their people. If they're not trained to identify these things, then, like you said, it could get 6, 12 months and the damage is done. What damage has been done in all that time as well? Have they just been at work and that presenteeism stage where they're just at work plodding along and probably causing a lot of errors and costing you a lot of money at the same time?
Yeah.
Like, it has an impact all round. And I don't think organisations look at it from such a big picture like this. It's very short-minded thinking.
And if I was an employer then, how often should I be training my managers then in that case? Should it be just a one and done kind of thing, or is this like a frequent?
No, I think you should be tapping in. And this is why I say about conversations, is that speak to your team. They will tell you what they need. Like, you don't have to go out there and think, oh God, if I've got a big list of stuff, I've got to tick it. No. Go and have a conversation with your team. They will lead you in what they need support with. If managers are having their training, then keep it updated. Make sure you're maintaining that. Because let's be fair, there's going to be so many things chucked at you throughout a year that what you've trained in a year previously, the whole business could have changed in that time, which means that the environment's changed, which means that your people's needs have changed. So I think you have to be just constant with that. Anyone that thinks it's like, well, look, when you go and get your car serviced, you service it every year. You do these things every single year. You maintain them so they work properly. It's exactly the same with your people.
Sure. No, that makes sense. So with the businesses that you work with, what are the types of businesses you tend to like to work with, should we say?
Me, I like going for the big boys, because if you take the big boys down, they can make a big impact. But to be fair, I've worked with startups. I do a lot of it seems to be the startup side of organisations want to get it right from the beginning, and they're very intentionally focused. So it's more like they want to look after their people from that stage there, and it's the right intentions are there. When you get to corporate size, it's a lot about numbers and stuff, which, look, it is what it is. It's not an area that I would say is we should be proud of, to say that we all look at numbers when we get to the bigger organisations, but they do. So if you can prove it with the big numbers, and you can show them actually what I do will work and make a significant impact, I can still get in here and work in that way. The small side just have a little bit more genuine intention. I'm not saying that the bigger ones don't, but it feels that way a lot, Ollie, to be fair. It feels like it's a hard gig to get into bigger organisations and get them to invest into their people than what it is from the smaller side.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. So going back now, what was the reason? Why did you start your business? And how old is it now? Is it about 3 years? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's, to be fair, I knew it would take me about 2 years to really get off the ground from this.
Hmm.
So it was a big transition coming home from being an accountant where, if I'm honest with you, I was earning very good money and built it up over a long time. I had good clients. Something just didn't feel right. I lost a bit of purpose there. And I think it was coming from a background where I've experienced a lot of adversity myself and a lot of challenges. I've been in this also sort of corporate side where burnout is, I've experienced it. For
Hmm.
me, it was like, maybe it's time, someone needs to go and give back, but in a different way. Maybe someone needs to be the voice of this and prove it with numbers so I can get people to sit up and actually listen. And it
Hmm.
seems to be working. But yeah, 3 years in the running with this now. 2 years to get brand awareness. I'm not going to lie, it took me a good 2 years to get sort of credibility now. And now it seems
Sure.
to be that I get a lot more speaker gigs, a lot more into big organisations. People, well, it's like
Okay.
anything. People trust you, don't they?
Yeah. No, for sure. So 2 years to get brand awareness. So how did those first 2 years feel as a business owner?
Tough,
Yeah.
tough, really tough, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It definitely was. It was a squeaky bum time. I think, am I doing the right? It was true. It's true. Have I made the right choice? I've took a significant drop in income here. I think I just had to hold on to the fact that good will come from it. Keep showing up, be authentic in
Hmm.
your approach, be consistent in your approach. I post every single day. LinkedIn is my biggest sort of marketing tool, and I post every single day. I don't think I've missed a post in the last 3 years.
Wow.
It's a tougher environment out there now. The algorithm
Yeah.
and stuff, I'm not going to lie, and I think you're just putting your finger in the air and hoping for the best at the moment. But
Yeah.
it has built me a good standing where I'm deemed as an expert in my field now. So, and it
Hmm.
does take time, doesn't it, to pivot over from
Yeah.
anything and go into an industry now where you're up against some big players and actually start to dominate it. Yeah, you've got to be consistent to get that approach.
Yeah, 100%. So the last year then, let's say it's taken 2 years to get that brand awareness, but the last year, how has that looked for you as a business in terms of growth?
Yeah, good. Well, I have these brain sort of creative ideas where I then get to a certain point. I think, oh, I want to try something different now. For me, working well will always be. I'm trying to get it to a point where it will be one of the leading sort of training providers in regards to the
Yeah.
wellbeing space. But I'd say this last year is where I've started to craft something now, and this is where I'm now creating the effectively, which will be a sort of marketplace app for organisations to be able to track their workplace wellbeing. And I think
Okay.
do it properly, do it so well, it's like anything, it takes time, doesn't it? And everything I've been doing over the last 2-3 years has slowly been building towards this. And it's like, why did I not think of this 3 years ago? But it's like anything in life. You've got to tread the waters first. You've got to work with the clients. You've
Yeah.
got to see what's missing, what the challenges organisations are facing. And it's now I've built up all this information and I've now put it into something where I can sort of frame it into being this tool that's going to absolutely change the game, and I'm
Perfect.
really excited about it. So that's kind of where I'm going to be taking it, I suppose, in this next year with the human return index. Is what I'm just going to blow the corporate space apart, I think.
Great. And with the app then, so is it any size business are going to have access to this, or is it how would it look, or are you allowed to say?
Well, it's in the MVP stages, so obviously I want to be starting to get investors soon. So anyone listen,
Yeah.
but it's effectively you will be able to get a sort of HRI score, which is a human return index. And the reason why I've called it a human return index is that it's not about just this is a new KPI that's got a human feel to it. I want to be
Mm.
able to prove what your people actually, when you look after them, what they can bring to the table, and if you do
Mhm.
it properly, it can be a significant amount. I mean, for every pound invested, there's a potential £5 ROI. That's a 400% ROI. If you can go
Mhm.
and show me that in any investment, I'll bite your hands off. So I think it's there to be had. I'm just going to start educating people how to get it now. But yeah, for
Mhm.
any organisation, they will be able to tap in and get a HRI score, sort of a free HRI score from an employer perspective.
Mhm.
If they want to deep dive in and really start having an employee pulse on this and actually getting an indication of exactly what's going on in your business, then obviously this is what is going to be in the app, and I'll be able to explain more once I launch it. But yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be very, very exciting because there's no one out there doing what I'm doing now.
Hi everyone, just a quick break in the show just to say thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe because it really helps us grow the channel. This podcast is brought to you by Ad People, a digital marketing agency that's been helping small to medium-sized businesses grow for over 2 decades. If you're looking to get more clients for your website, then Ad People's team of experts can help you make that happen. Drop them an email at consult@addpeople.co.uk for a free, no-nonsense chat about where you are now and where you want to be. Don't forget to mention the Eardley Bird Business Podcast is how you got there for exclusive offers and discounts. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Amazing. And do you have a time scale on when you're hoping to have some?
You know me, Ollie. I want to do it yesterday, but unfortunately, I can't. So it's I think this should be MVP testing in about 4 to 6 weeks. I will have it finished. I'm going to get some very creative people with me on sort of just helping me build this as some kind of because it's going to be a challenge, and I've realised this now that I can't do this on my own. It's like anything in life and business. The limitation for me is that I'm only one person, and if I want to take this to where I want to take this, I've got to get people on board. So that was a hard part in any kind of business, having to trust people and give up a bit of control, which I'm excited about. And I think for this now, I can see the massive vision that's going to come from it. So I know that the better people I bring on board, the best it's going to be for the people, the end users. So so by Christmas, I think this will be having already been tested, already out there. And from January, I'm going to be launching everything out of this. So
amazing. Love that. I'd like to talk about your marketing strategy up until now. It'd be interesting to hear maybe if you have any plans for the app as well. But obviously you mentioned LinkedIn, so let's probably start there. You mentioned you've been posting every day for the last 3 years. Can you talk us through that and give us a bit more context?
I'd say for me, it was, look, where's my ideal clients hang out? They hang out on LinkedIn. I'm looking for professional corporates that hang out on LinkedIn. I reckon 80% of my work comes from LinkedIn.
Wow.
So if you've got that much kind of leads coming in, you've got to put your efforts where it's needed. So for me, LinkedIn is a massive market. It's the biggest marketing tool, and it's organic as well. I've not had to do no paid ads, nothing like that. Is that changing? That may well be changing because we all know at the moment it's a bit of a tough gig out there. But I think you've just got to get in. It's like anything on LinkedIn. You've got to put in what you want out of it. I can't just show up, post and ghost because I'm going to get forgotten about. I have to do the legwork. I have to get in people's comment sections. I have to show back the love to be able to receive it, and it does work. So it's like anything in life, isn't it? You've got to put the effort in.
Perfect. And you mentioned a couple of things there. So what would be your sort of top tips for LinkedIn? Because you mentioned commenting there and you mentioned posting frequently. Is there any other things that you'd think is
I think now don't be afraid to get in the DMs to people. I'm not saying it a cold calling or anything like that, but if you for me, marketing is all about building relationships, and like I said earlier, you've got to humanize everything. So I would buy more from somebody who I felt like I've had more conversations with, who I've built relationships with, who I feel like I've built a trust element there. You start DMing me cold, I'm not interested. You're gonna get crickets from me. But if someone was showing up consistently on my page and showing the love in my comments, and I'm seeing them out networking, or you know what I mean, it starts to build a bit of a pattern. And for me, that's where it's gold, because straight away people are bought in, they're buying to you as a person. So don't feel afraid to have these conversations. And I think also get out to some of the networking places where you're going to see a lot of people who we met through LinkedIn. We then met at networking. So it's kind of cemented our relationship as we've gone along. Exactly. You feel more comfortable with someone. You're more inclined if someone said to you, do you know anybody who works in the well-being in the workplace space? You would most likely probably think, I know Kirsty.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I mean? So I think that way it's don't be afraid to have conversations. If you're afraid to have conversations, then what you're doing on a social media platform. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's almost like instead of just thinking I'm DMing people or I'm commenting, it's just build relationships is probably the best way of thinking about it with LinkedIn.
And they are rewarding that at the moment. Let's be fair. I think this week I've had more impressions on my comments that I've left for people than I probably have on my posts.
Yeah,
so that tells you.
I've been saying that recently, is comments is probably the most useful tool at the moment. It'd be interesting to know, you mentioned 80% of your work comes from LinkedIn. Do you know roughly how many leads you get from it? Let's say weekly.
It's for me, it's the customers that I speak to is one of my clients took me 8-9 months to get over the line with contract. It's a long process with corporates. There's a lot of red tape. So I don't just get, Ollie, in regards to strategy and audit kind of work and things like that. I actually get more gigs for like speaking or influence stuff or workshops. So I get things like that through, if that makes sense. But I'm very selective as well. I'm not going to lie. I'm very selective. So it took me a while to be selective because like anything in business, you'll take anything at the beginning and you'll work with anyone. I'm very selective who I work with now. It's got to align very well with me. And it seems to be that I'm very lucky that I've worked with LinkedIn, I've worked with Geotab, I've worked with Hitachi, I've got big clients that I've worked with now. So that hasn't come easy. That's come from probably putting all of my efforts into a select few clients rather than an abundance of. Because I think for me, it's more about quality over quantity. So.
No, that's interesting because you're right. I think a lot of smaller businesses in the start are just like, I just need revenue, right? I just need to get as many people through the door.
I learned that in about 6 months. I'm not doing anything for free anymore, mate. But I think, and don't get me wrong, there will be certain things though that I work. I'm an ambassador for Ripple. They're a suicide prevention charity. They can have my time free of charge every single day of the week because for me that's a big. That's what I do. That's my purpose. I'm on a mission to make sure that I can support people as much as I can. And as more awareness that we can create, I'll happily go and support them. So I put my time and efforts into the right people now, rather than just giving people my time just to get up the ladder.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So I'd like to talk about your other ways that you market yourself other than LinkedIn. You've mentioned a few things like speaking gigs and networking. Could you talk me through where it kind of falls, where you put your attention?
Yeah, I think for me, you've got to get out there. I go to London a lot. For me, it's like you've got to get out into these spaces. This is where a lot of my clients will hang out. I prefer face-to-face. It's more draining, don't get me wrong, so you won't see me doing loads of it anymore, but I will get up there sort of sometimes a good couple of times a week, sometimes only a couple of times a month, just depends how I feel. But the face-to-face networking 100% is where I leave an impression. That's where people remember me most. And also, I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'll ask people questions. How are you going to know about someone unless you start, you ask questions? But you're right. I think doing the speaking gigs automatically gets you put on a stage. People are going to recognise you. I did a Countex recently, like you knew. It was more for me. It wasn't about making any kind of really financial income from that stage. It was more about I'm trying to push a petition. I want people to get behind it. The more support I can give, that got me spoken about on LinkedIn loads anyway, and I didn't even have to sell anything really. Do you see what I mean? So I think it's putting your efforts in the right spaces and being creative with it, not feeling the worst thing I think you can do in any kind of especially on socials is be scared to take a leap. Like I remember when I first started doing lots of video content, it was like I'd be there for ages preparing this video content. Now I will do 50 videos in 2 hours, bang bang bang, get them out. And then I'll just schedule them into my stuff because I think I've realised now again, where do I put my efforts? And I need to make sure that I'm putting them into the right places. So you get better at things. You've just got to try and test them, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
100%. I've literally gone through the same process myself recently, whereas like I would really scripted videos, let's put loads of effort behind them. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to record a video every morning. So at least I'm doing something frequently and getting something out there. So I'm with you on that one. It'd be great to understand a bit more about the challenges that maybe you've faced over the last 3 years. What's been the hardest part of growing your business?
I think for me, it was actually getting people on calls. Once I get people onto calls, I can 90% of the time get them over the line. It's getting people to give you that opportunity. And that's why I said to you, it does take legwork sometimes. And it depends what kind of clients you're looking at. If you're looking at small business owners, when I first started out doing the coaching kind of thing, when I first came into this space, I could work with smaller businesses very easily. It was a quicker turnaround. Income was a lot quicker. As soon as I went into more the corporate space, it's just a different playing ground, totally. And you've got to be patient with it. And that's probably the hardest thing I've found, because I'm not very patient. But
Yeah.
also that takes time to get any kind of financial income as well, because of the fact it is such a red sort of line. It takes a long time to get contracts over, that you've just got to budget very well. And I think probably where a lot of people, when they start out in business, want to go full steam ahead and they maybe not take these things into consideration, and that's generally where they end up falling at hurdles, because it is tough, and you've got to kind of have a game plan, and you've got to be consistent in executing that game plan.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting. Yeah, I'm relating to a lot of what you're saying, because I'm very impatient as a person as well. And I've worked with a lot of small businesses previously, and then I've been moving towards bigger businesses in the last year and a half. And exactly the same, where it's like, you want things to move a lot quicker, but it isn't. It's a much more patient game. It's almost like you said before, it's like building relationships is the aim of the game, really.
100%. It's a different audience, and that's what you've got to remember, is that you're touching into a different space where everything changes now. Their challenges change, payments change, everything, your approach has got to change. You've got to be able to adapt to that. You can't go into anything thinking you're going to be able to perform in the same way as what you did, say, in this situation. Totally different obstacles now. And I think that's one thing that I've definitely learned, is that I think because I'm in this space, this wellbeing space, I've had to work a lot on myself over the last few years, and I'm big on thinking, listen, if I can't control it, what's the point of me wasting my energy on it?
Yeah.
If I can't control it, stop putting my focus on it. Focus on what I can control and less of what I can't. And I think once I start with that approach, it's like, right, okay, what can I do? Well, I can do this, 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 and this. Well, let's go and do this, this, and this. Stop worrying about that stuff, because that's out of my hands. That's somebody else dealing with that. And it ends up, you don't overthink things, because it can get very, listen, you can, as a small business owner, you can put so many hours into these things. You can overthink things, and you can actually, all you're doing is stand still. If you want to sort of grow and you want to scale in certain areas, I think you have to step out of certain things and focus on the business rather than focus working in it all the time.
Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely. So with these, I'd like to get back to the apps for a couple of minutes, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Have you thought about marketing strategy and how you're going to promote that?
It's something I'm actually going through now. At the minute, to be fair, I've got an idea how I want to make sure it's out there. It's got to be able to work well with what the audience I'm trying to attract. The thing is, what I'm trying to create, Ollie, is I'm going to make it so freaking sticky that you're going to have to be involved in it as an organisation. So it will effectively be like a standard. Like you see things like Glassdoor, or you see like best workplaces and things like that. People want that credibility. People want to be known as being the best in that industry. This is exactly what I'm going to make this. So how I'm marketing, how I execute is something I'm actually thinking about at the moment, to be fair.
Okay.
I've got good ideas and I know how I want to take it, but I'm just a bit of a no BS approach, kind of say it how it is, but I have to be gentle, I think. I have to warm people up.
Yeah.
And to identify what this could actually mean for their business, and then make it very attractive in regards to the benefits from it.
I'm just picturing the branding being like you, just no fluff, straight to the point kind of branding.
It's very sleek. I'm keeping it it's totally separate from Work It Well. So it's a totally separate entity, totally separate company, totally separate. I've trademarked all this. I've done all of these things, as you know. In this world, you have to protect yourself. Yeah. So I've gone and done all these right things, and it's even trying to find the right developer to do this, and because you want to see it to the point that whoever I get involved to do this now, which I think I had about 20 developers, I've got it whittled down to a couple, and I'm literally just about to hopefully push the button on one, but they've got to be able to scale it with me and see my vision as well. And it's hard to find people that can see it, but everyone that I seem to have spoken to who I want to get involved have been able to see it very clear and are very excited with me. Which is really good, isn't it? When you're at a stage where you want to really push something and you've got others that are excited with you, it means that I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right path. Is it still scary? 100%, mate. 100%. Am I doing the right thing? Is it someone else going to copy me? They can all but try, but they're not going to be able to deliver it how I do it. And I think that's what you've got to remember in business, isn't there? There's going to be plenty of people out there doing the same thing as you. You've got to be able to just stand out in the crowd. Yeah.
Is the plan to keep doing what you're doing with Work It Well as doing the app side, or are you planning on doing...
hopefully. I mean, it depends how it goes. For me, a lot of my efforts, the whole purpose of what the human return index will be is effectively it's going to be a tool. So it should be very passive for me, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
once this tool kind of runs, it's going to be like a dashboard, and clients will be able to use this as an internal dashboard. So it kind of like, the way it's going to be working will hopefully not have to have me involved in it as much. In regards to Work It Well, what that means is that I can then train others, or I can get people sort of licensed to offer my programs and stuff. So
Yeah.
theoretically, am I being clever in what I'm doing in regards to actually I can have a supplier working with the human return, working with the people that are actually getting this information? Yeah, 100% I'm being clever. If I'm going to be able to deliver it properly, this is what I'm testing.
Yeah, well, it's the execution. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but in hindsight, it's all going to work very smoothly, and hopefully I should have 2 very profitable businesses in a year.
Perfect. I think that's an excellent place to wrap it up on that note. Kirsty, it's always great chatting to you.
You're a star, mate. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
If people want to get in touch with you or follow you, how would they go about doing that?
You can come and find me on LinkedIn. I'm very, very lively, bright yellow. You can't miss me. Kirsty Birch. You can have a look for me on there. Also follow just workitwell.com. You'll be able to find our bits and pieces online. But yeah, I think if anyone's got any queries, anyone's looking for any workplace wellbeing strategy, audits, workshops, anything like that, give us a holler. Or if anyone wants to find out what this human return index is going to be offering, then again, get in my DMs.
Yeah, hopefully there's a huge investor that's just like, yes, this is the one.
I'm going to be holding them down. Don't worry about that.
Thanks, Kirsty.
Thank you very much, sir. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you could do us a huge, huge favor and like and subscribe. It allows us to get you more amazing guests, as well as share more practical tips on how you can grow your business online. If you are looking to grow your business online, then Ad People are here to help. They offer free, no obligation consultations that allows you to speak to more people who know what they're talking about. Simply email consult@adpeople.co.uk or see the link in the description. Other than that, I'll see you next time.